Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be talking about Valtteri Bottas and what's going to be happening to him going into 2022. And obviously there's talks about George Russell. George Russell's recently just done a Formula 1 test for Mercedes with the 2022 tyres. So does that mean we're going to have confirmation over the summer break that George Russell will be in the car for Mercedes next season? If that's the case, where does Valtteri Bottas go for next season? Let's find out. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So of course, like I said, the option and seeing George Russell testing out them new tyres for next season in the Mercedes. Now obviously Lewis Hamilton's done the test as well. I think Valtteri Bottas did it earlier in the year, so it's not major news that George Russell has done the test with him being a Mercedes in the Mercedes program, but it's still interesting that that's been happening just before the summer break starts as well, which obviously we know Totto Wolff wants to try and wrap this up as close to the summer break as possible. So obviously Mercedes is still an option for Valtteri Bottas. Obviously Mercedes have been dominant with that partnership of Hamilton and Bottas for the last few seasons since Bottas replaced Nico Rosberg at the end of 2016. Like I said, the domination in the Constructors' Championships, but sadly for Bottas, we have seen the dominance still of Lewis Hamilton, and Valtteri Bottas hasn't been able to make that number one status and to win a world championship in that Mercedes team. It has been or Hamilton. Of course, it's going to be a tough decision for Totto Wolff to make that, to decide if he wants to break up the relationship that they've got now in that dominant partnership that's been between Bottas and Hamilton, and if they want to bring in George Russell to replace him. If they do, it will be a big decision to bring in George Russell against Hamilton for 2022, but the option with Mercedes is still there for the time being. And I think the next option, which I think is sort of where we're going to be heading with this, is Williams. Now, obviously we know Valtteri Bottas has had history with Williams. He started his Formula 1 career at Williams and was there until he got that seat at Mercedes. It's changed since Bottas has been there. Obviously the Williams family have left the sort of company, and Drillington Capital come in. Jos Capito's come in as well, or Jos Capito has come in as well. So it's obviously a little bit of changes going on, but I feel like if Russell moves to Mercedes going into 2022, then it's sort of a perfect jump for Bottas to go into the Williams seat. And obviously, we're hoping, and I think this is what Bottas maybe needs to discuss with the Williams team, is that going into 2022, they'll have a lot more competitive car and be in and around the midfield, if not still, competing maybe for a little bit higher. We've seen what Alpine have done at the Hungarian Grand Prix as well, where if you're at the right place at the right time, you can capitalise on it. Williams again, the first time they've had double point scoring finishes as well for the last couple of years, so that was big for Williams. So if they're in them right places, they can get good points and maybe podium finishes going into 2022. But I think Bottas jumping from Mercedes to Williams, he'll have to have some guarantees that that's not going to be trundling around the back of the grid. Otherwise there's no point in him staying in the sport if that's the case. But I still feel like if Russell goes to Mercedes, then Bottas to Williams is a very strong option. And the other one to stay in Formula 1 that's been talked about as well is Alfa Romeo. Now I feel like this one is less likely simply because of the sort of branding. Mercedes, Bottas and Wolff have sort of been in partnership for a few years now. I think he was his manager before he joined Mercedes when he was at his time in Williams. So it would be very strange if he was going to a team in F1, he didn't go to a team that had a Mercedes power unit in it. So I feel like going to Alfa Romeo with a Ferrari power unit is probably less likely. And of course, again, they are sort of in the same position as Williams in terms of where they are at the back of the grid at the moment. So would Valtteri Bottas, unless the regulations help them going into 2022, would he want to choose Alfa Romeo over Williams if he was going to pick one? There's obviously talk about Kimi Räikkönen. Has he lost his sort of drive to be in Formula 1 anymore? Is he really that bothered? We know obviously in the media and the PR, everything he does, we know he's not bothered in that regard, but has he still got got that fire to be in that Formula One car anymore. So it's definitely an option, I feel like, to go to Alfa Romeo, but I feel like it's less likely than say the Williams option. And then of course the final one is maybe he leaves Formula One altogether. There's been talk of him going into rallying a bit more. We know he likes to do that in the off seasons, maybe in the winter breaks as well. He likes to do a bit of rallying, so it could be maybe he switches his sports and goes into a bit more of rallycross or rallying instead of going into Formula One or maybe Formula E or something like that. So that's definitely a possibility as well. But let me know your thoughts. Is it a possibility that Valtteri Bottas will leave the sport altogether? Do you think he would go to Alfa Romeo or Williams, or do you think Totto Wolff will keep him on alongside Hamilton at the Mercedes team? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. See you soon.